Oh, there, here we go. That's James Brown Jr., y'all. There go James Brown Jr. And Kelly needs to be court-martialed. He definitely needs to be court-martialed. And I hope that he does. They do their investigation. They're going to find they have reason to charge him with sedition. Because what him and them other five did is totally outrageous to bring any type of disparity to the minds of these young enlisted men of the armed forces. All right, welcome to the TMYK show. I am Mike, your host, better known as Mo. Here's where you get the truth uncut. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Obama. We're going to talk about the bombings that they having so much complain about when it comes to Donald Trump. But we're going to do some comparison here today. And I just wonder why when Obama do it, nothing is said. Let's get into this first one here. I want to show you something that he said here in his interview. All right? Check this out.
You know what I don't have is a news feed. In fact, the entire time, people used to ask, you seem so calm, Mr. President. Why is that? No drama, Obama. I said, that's because I don't watch the news. Now, it is genuinely true. I have not watched cable news in 15 years.
And he said he don't watch the news, but the news is what keep him up and keep lying and bragging on him. The worst president ever. Please understand that. The worst president ever. You will learn it over time.
And I don't scroll. I'm old school and I read a pretty wide mix of publications. Yeah, I'll read Wall Street Journal. I'll read New York Times. I'll, read the Atlantic or, science magazines. That's where I get my information from. Here's the thing. I actually think that the mainstream news still does a very good job of just presenting facts. I think cable, regardless of the cable station, has fallen prey to the same economic imperatives that we're seeing in every other type of news, which is you are deliberately controversial, deliberately aggressive, deliberately trying to make people feel angry and aggrieved because that attracts attention.
And you know what? And I'm going to stop it right there. Like he says the cable news is trying to make you feel aggressive, angry, and what have you. And that's what these networks are doing, as he says, the cable news, when you talk about CNN, MSNBC, which I believe is now called MS now. And of course, Fox News. We're not going to leave Fox out, as well as many others that are out there. But two of the corporates, when it comes to that personality of making you angry and wanting to be aggressive, is CNN and MSNBC. And I want to show you something here. Brother Jake Tafford and what he's done and what he said. How can he even make a mistake like this? Even if he was reading a possible prompter, how can you make a mistake like this?
They had arrested a suspect accused of planting pipe bombs near the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs.
Huh? A 30-year-old white man? 30-year-old white man. Where did that come from? Oh, to get you upset, to get you mad, get you aggravated. These are things that they're doing, and they're starting to show their hand as to the things that they do. There is no way nobody should have made that mistake. We clearly know that this is a black man. Let's see, we should get a picture of
transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce.
So in that, as you see, they did that. And of course, we know that the guy is black. We know that he is black. These are things that Obama was talking about when it comes to the news and how it gives you bad information. CNN is one of your biggest corporates. So those of you who following CNN, they just gave you the perfect example of how they give you misinformation, period. Now let's get into this. We're going to watch some Jesse Waters, and we're going to watch him and what he did in his investigating and people that he talked to when it comes to what Donald Trump has been doing compared to others.
It was opening day at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. Yep, Rubio surprised 47 and slapped his name on the building. There's nothing that Trump loves more than that.
We are here together for the first time ever in this building. Brand new, beautiful building. I don't want to tell you how much it costs because I hear it's a lot.
Trump's ending wars, but Democrats are starting one with him. Seditious Six Kelly's launching the first strike.
He's trying to silence us. He's trying to silence me. He didn't like what I said. He wants me to shut up. But he picked the wrong guy to go after, because that ain't happening.
Kelly's daring Trump to arrest him so he can get that mugshot bounce and run for president. Maxine Waters, no relation, then hit him with the double tap.
Oh, here we go. That's James Brown Jr., y'all. There goes James Brown Jr. And Kelly needs to be court-martialed. He definitely needs to be court-martialed. And I hope that he does. They do their investigation. They're going to find they have reason to charge him with sedition. Because what him and them other five did is totally outrageous to bring any type of disparity to the minds of these young enlisted men of the armed forces. Period. You're coming against our country when you do that. But let's hear what James Brown Jr. got to say, better known as Maxine Waters.
President of the United States is a killer. I am outraged at the way that on his own, without any consultation, he doesn't know whom they are, whether they're innocent or whether they're guilty. He should follow the laws. The laws does not allow or intend for the President of the United States to just kill anybody that he wants to kill.
Well, I'm afraid it does. Obama killed an American citizen with a missile, aimed it right at him. Maxine didn't call him a murderer. She called him Messiah. It'd be nice if Democrats would help us protect the homeland, but they won't even say the N-word. Narco.
Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but
he called them shipwrecked sailors. And these are drug cartel criminals. But he called them, I guess we're looking at a Gilligan Island scene, okay? They on Gilligan Island, okay? They stranded on the desert island somewhere. Please, these people are ridiculous.
but attacking shipwrecked sailors.
Shipwrecked sailors is the new Maryland dad. Politicians got a briefing from Admiral Bradley today, who ordered the second Coke boat strike, and Democrats ran to the cameras to lie.
You have two helpless men clinging to debris, and perhaps they made a radio call for help. We're getting details on that hopefully soon. But two helpless men clinging to debris, radioing for a rescue, hardly means they're in the fight. They weren't in the fight even before the first strike. How could they be in the fight when they're helpless clinging to debris?
This is the Russia hoax on repeat. They get an intelligence briefing and then storm out and spin the truth. This is actually what happened. After the first strike, Admiral Bradley and his team and a lawyer spent about an hour analyzing the aftermath, waiting for the smoke to clear and assessing the damage to the drugs and to the boat. They determined the boat was still intact. The narcotics hadn't been completely incinerated, and the terrorists were radioing the cartel to come grab the goods. The Koch brothers were very much in the fight.
I saw two survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs down for the United States, back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists.
See, but the other guy, did he tell you any of that? He didn't tell you none of that. He saw two people stranded. That's what they do when they go behind closed doors. This is how the Democrats do when they come out. They tell you what they want you to believe. How are these stories so vastly different? Why is one of them looking at them as narco assailants, and the other one is looking at them as stranded fishermen, I guess? Come on now. Make it make sense. We're blowing up these boats and they're blowing them up, and you know that these people are of the drug cartel. They're trying to bring drugs into our country, and that is what they're on a mission to stop it. Period. Just sickening.
Senator Tom Cotton, chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, after an initial investigation, said he had no problem with the operation and said expect more of it.
Would you have taken the same shot if you were in that position?
If I was Admiral Bradley and I'd been delegated that authority, absolutely. And I'd do it again.
A war crime is not partisan. Anybody who sees a real war crime immediately knows it's a war crime. It's unmistakably repugnant. If Democrats and Republicans disagree on whether something's a war crime, that means it isn't, and it's politics. And the Democrats that have seen the video, they're not even really calling it a war crime. They're not even using those words. They're just saying they're concerned and faking it. So not only was a lawyer in the room, we've confirmed they're not fishermen, and the so-called survivors were trying to recover the boat, call for cartel help, and keep moving the drugs. We also confirmed that Hegseth never ordered kill them all.
I don't think there was. I would have been surprised had Hegseth given the order to kill them all.
The head of U.S. Southern Command, an admiral with 30 years of experience, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, various intelligence officials, the Secretary of Defense, prepared for weeks, gathered intelligence, and rehearsed contingency options for this exact situation that unfolded. They were in communication with SEAL Team 6, who was operating the drone. And after an hour of studying the footage, determined a second strike was necessary to destroy the boat, the Coke, and complete the mission. Sounds pretty methodical to me. Morning Joe says war crime.
The new sort of rules of warfare is if you have a prisoner and they're indefensible and they have a radio, you can shoot them in the head. Right. That's now the new Hegseth policy. If they have a radio, you can shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
Forget the war crimes. So yeah, they're making up as they go along.
And they're making shit up as they go along. As you see, this knucklehead went to the White House when Donald Trump won, called himself making amends, I guess. Called himself a Republican. As you see now, it used to be MSNBC, now it's MS Now. Yeah, it should be MS Wow. Because y'all, they are crazy as cat shit, okay? That's how crazy they are on both of them and CNN.
Every day.
Yeah, so it's just a bunch of sailors listening to Shakira on the radio. Morning Joe wants us to sell tomahawks to Zelensky so he can shoot him deep into Russia and kill thousands of people. But we can't launch 2 missiles into the Gulf of America to protect the good old stars and stripes? Come on. Congressman Dan Crenshaw, a former Navy SEAL who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, says these guys don't know what the heck they're talking about.
And just so you know, he's a Republican who's about to speak, and he is not a Donald Trump supporter, period, unless he's changed over the last couple of days.
I can't recall any time in my history doing counterterrorism operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, what have you, where we strike a group, whether that's a building or a boat or a vehicle, and then we were like, oh, well, they're survivors. We have to go. We can't kill them. Of course we killed them.
Of course. If you remember, we didn't take a lot of prisoners during the war on terror. Those were shoot-to-kill missions. When Trump designated the cartels as terrorists, it changes the mission. The president absolutely has this authority to conduct this war the way he's doing it, and is on strong constitutional and historic grounds. But our friend Shree's not convinced. He wants to impeach.
This secretary has to go. He's incompetent. He's, violated. He has committed war.
He looks like some kind of cartoon. I'm going to come up with one for him in a minute. But he looks very, very cartoonish, along with the voice, which is a dingbat. He's a total dingbat, period. And he's a Democrat.
For crimes, he must go. And if both parties, if Republicans are willing to look at this for the merit of this case and not just their loyalty to President Trump, this can be done.
So if we're impeaching Hegseth, what are we going to do with bombs away Barry and loose cannon Leon? Listen to Barack's director of defense intelligence.
At the heart of it, we use double taps all the time. Some of them probably were injured, yet you hit them again. It was bipartisan support on the Hill for doing it.
My buddy who served in Iraq said, Jesse, anything worth bombing once is worth bombing twice. Now, that might be hard to hear for some folks, but it is what it is.
Bipartisan means both sides agreed. But here, both sides can't agree. And Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are not doing anything more than any other administration have done when it comes to war on drugs. No more. But these people, they're getting exposed, period. Slowly but surely. It's good to see that people are waking up to them and their foolishness.
Was a guy in a hole in Syria with an AK a direct threat to the United States? But Democrats in the media never picked a fight when Obama dropped 16,000 bombs there in 1 year and wiped out dozens of civilians. What innocent civilians are on these coke boats? These are cartel pilots. These are Venezuelan mob bosses, sex traffickers, drug runners. Do we need to stop sniffing so much blow in America? Yeah. We need to address demand. Yeah. But we also have to address supply. And blowing these coke boats out of the water does that. Coke boat traffic has dropped like a rock, and the cartels are on notice. And so is dictator Maduro. The president doesn't need to ask Schumer permission to kill terrorists, to knock off bad hombres in our own backyard. Reagan and Bush the elder launched military operations in Grenada and Panama without congressional approval. Clinton put boots on the ground in Somalia without congressional approval. Bubba bombed an aspirin factory to distract from Lewinsky and killed a janitor. Is he guilty of a war crime or a sex crime? I'm not a lawyer. But I do know the Geneva Convention doesn't apply to terrorists. These aren't men in uniform fighting traditional warfare under their country's flag. This is an asymmetric, unconventional threat that requires different codes and conventions. And every day is a battle.
The last 24 hours, our host nation counterparts, our federal task force, have seized 20,000 kilos of cocaine that were destined for the United States. destined to the United States to spread this poison that's being sent here by these foreign terrorist cartels that are preying on our kids.
The people of the United States back this type of action. A new poll from the Reagan Institute finds blowing up narco cowboys in Latin America is the most popular national security policy of Trump's second term. In second place, the Iran strike. Democrats have now come out against the two most popular foreign policy actions of Trump's second term. We have a carrier strike group off the coast in Venezuela, and Maduro's getting paranoid. Reports say he's rotating his sleeping locations and using burner phones. The swarmy little socialist is also reaching out to Cuba for help and using Havana's bodyguards. The Coke boat hoax is just a sideshow for Trump. He's dialed in on enforcing the Monroe Doctrine. And this just in. The Trump administration has just carried out another deadly strike on a Coke boat. On December 4th, at the direction of Pete Hegseth, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel in international waters operated by a designated terrorist organization. Intelligence confirmed that the vessel was carrying illicit narcotics and transiting along a known narco trafficking route in the Eastern Pacific. 4 male narco terrorists aboard the vessel were killed. Secretary Hegseth and the commander-in-chief will not be intimidated by congressional Democrats into backing off. This sends a strong message everywhere that this mission won't be interrupted by politics. So the Democrats better get used to seeing more Coke boats go up in smoke, just like their latest hoax. Afghan veteran and founder of Veteran Action, Mark Lucas, is here. Mark, double tap strikes, were they common when you were serving?
Well, number one, we never used the term double tap for conducting airstrikes. So a lot of my fellow global war on terror veterans are laughing at Democrats and how they're talking about this. We never stopped in the middle of a firefight and asked the enemy if they needed aid. We finished the enemy. You could say that we killed them all. And I'll tell you that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, President Trump, and Admiral Bradley, they will not be deterred. And this is a war on warriors. Every one of us who served overseas, we wanted to protect the United States of America. And we were told that we were going to be able to fight the terrorists overseas so we wouldn't be able to fight them here at home. Well, President Trump, like you said earlier, is embarking on the most popular foreign policy objective right now with killing these narco terrorists. So what this really all is, it's politics. It seems like Republican orders are unlawful, but Democrat orders are lawful. You see Senator Mark Kelly, who I think should be tried for sedition.
I mean, that's the two sides of the justice system. That's the two sides of how they see things. If it's a Republican, it's all bad. If it's a Democrat doing it, hey, it's either all good or nothing to see here. And this has got to stop, people. This bullshit has got to stop. And it's going to stop. Period. Donald J. Trump is going to make sure that it stops. Mark my word.
In the seditious six, they planned this. They wanted to have that video go out to sow doubt in the minds of military commanders, to create a wedge between them and the commander-in-chief. And then so, behold, now there's this hoax that comes out that's going to be debunked. I think your opening monologue just completely exonerated the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. He is doing his job. He's defending his warriors and will continue to protect the homeland.
So why do you think that the Democrats had no problem when Barack, Bush, Biden, Trump won, was doing this in the Middle East, but they have a problem now? What do you think that's about?
It's all about politics. You know, Barack Obama conducted an extrajudicial drone strike that killed 2 American citizens. One of them was a 16-year-old boy. I don't hear Senator Mark Kelly talking about that. But when President Trump wants to protect our homeland, now that's unlawful.
Did we ever hear anything about that? Obama had an airstrike that killed 2 Americans, one of them was 16 years old. But you hear nothing about that. Have you heard anything like that about Trump? Have you heard that Trump has killed a minor in his airstrikes? That was not an enemy? Come on, people.
What we're seeing is an insurgency that's being waged against the duly elected commander-in-chief. President Trump won in a mandate. The American people support him. But the Democrats, they're not going to stop their lawfare. We saw what they did in 2024. They tried to kick him off the ballot. They tried to charge him with non-crimes, and they underfunded his Secret Service detail and almost got him killed. Well, when President Trump won, they weren't going to stop, and they're going to continue to wage this insurgency against the acting president, against Secretary Hegseth, and against the will of the American people.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for your service, and thanks for sharing those insights with our audience. It's really important that you and the rest of your warfighting crew do that to clear things up and set the record straight. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, so as you see, yeah, that they are blowing smoke up our butt and just telling us that what Donald Trump is doing is wrong. And we clearly see, I pray through this interview and all of the information that Jesse was able to put on the table, that no, Donald Trump is not doing anything wrong. So if you really enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and share. We really would appreciate it. Support the channel. And until next time, love you, love on each other, and be good to one another. Peace.